In the book of Isaiah, the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 10, he has a list of places that have to be careful, that have to be forewarned that the king of Assyria, who was then advancing against Jerusalem, and that he was liable to come and conquer these countries in the course of his campaign against Jerusalem. And this is indeed what happened. And he mentions different places. In Isaiah 10:30 he says, so lift up your voice, that is, cry with a shrill voice, cry, O daughter of Gallim, O daughter of Gallim, cause it to be heard as far as Laish, a poor Anadot. The Talmud, on commentating on this in Sanhedrin 94, Talmud Sanhedrin 94 says, cry with a shrill voice, cry with a loud voice, O daughter of Gallim. The prophet is saying to the congregation of Israel, cry with a shrill voice, daughter of Gallim, daughter of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, performed the mitzvot, that is commandments, good deeds, as numerous as the waves of the sea. This is a play on words because Gallim, a gal in Hebrew can mean a heap. A heap is a gal. Also a hill. A small hill can be called a gal. This is why you have the Galilee. The Galilee is a place of numerous hillocks and numerous small hills. And not only that, but the name Gallim or Gal for heap is also part of the sea, the waves of the sea, because the waves of the sea are like piles, heaps of water. And they are very numerous. So the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Hebrews, are being compared to the daughter of Gallim, the daughter of the waves, whose good deeds are as numerous as the waves of the sea. Daughter of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Comes about that Gal is being equated with Hebrew, with descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This name Gallim was an actual place. It was a place named Gallim. In 1 Samuel 25:44, it says that Saul had given his daughter Michal, wife of David, to Palti, the son of Laish, who was from Gallim. So we find a place named Gallim. And Palti, the son of Laish, was from there. So it was a real place, an actual place. But nevertheless, the names have significance beyond the geographical reality. They also have significance that they represent something beyond them, according to their names. And Gal here is taken to be synonymous with Hebrew. And Gal could also be related to the Hebrew word Galli, meaning exile. Also Hebrew. Hebrew means Iberi, Iberi, can also connote wanderer, someone without a settled area who wanders around. A Galli was where the Golan in Latin, the Golan in northern Israel, which in Latin was known as Gaulanitis. And Gaulanitis and Gaul in effect the same name. Gaul was the present-day area of France and Belgium, parts of Germany and the Netherlands. And someone from that region was known as a Galli. And the area was known as Galliah. And the people from that area were known as Galli, also known as Hiberi or Hiberi, together with their kinfolk in the British Isles, so known as Iberi or Hiberi, which names mean wanderer or someone who moves around, and also come from the same root as does the word Iberi or Hebrew. They're actually known in effect as the equivalent of Hebrew. That was the name given to them. We call them the Celts, but this term Celt was not widely used. It was not used for all of them. It's only been applied in the last few hundred years by scholars. In the time of the people in question, it was not the name used for them. They were known as Galli, and their area was known as Galliah. It was concentrated in France and Belgium, that remaining area. It was also linked to Britain. There were tribes both in Gaul and in Britain, that is, segments of the same tribes in each place. Also, it's not unusual for a ruler of one of the tribes in one of the areas to rule over part of the tribe in the other area. And also a very large number of people passed from that area of Gaul into Britain before the Romans came. And they may have brought the Celtic languages with them, had a profound influence, became ethnically dominant, especially in what is now Eastern England. So that is of interest. It also should be mentioned that in Hebrew this area was known as Tserafat. Tserafat. And Tserafat, this name Tserafat is mentioned in the Bible, Obadiah 1, the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 20, and the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath. And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south. And the first section of this verse, and the captivity of this host of the children of Israel, that's the English translation. In the Hebrew it says, V'galut ahayel ezai, that is literally this first exile. This first exile, and this first exile is what I understood by rabbinical commentators to mean the first exile of the lost 10 tribes. You had 12 tribes in the land of Israel. They divided into 2 different sections. The northern section, the 10 tribes, was taken into exile by the Assyrians. And in the places of exile, they moved off. They moved to the north and the west, and eventually they came to Western Europe, and they're still there. And when Abijah was writing his book, they were still there, and he was referring to them. This first exile, the children of Israel shall possess the land of the Canaanites, even unto Tserafat. The Tserafat mean, according to Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo ben Isaac, 1040-1105, and lived in Champagne, northern France. And he commenting on this verse, he says, the first exile of the children of Israel, they were exiled from the 10 tribes to the land of Canaanites unto Tserafat. The commentator says that Tserafat means the kingdom called France in common language. So Rashi identified Tserafat, the place of the lost 10 tribes, with France. Ibn Ezra, in 1092, 1167, he said, from the Canaanites, he said they identified the Canaanites in this verse, linked with the Tserafat. He says the Canaanites are the people who fled from the children of Israel. They came into the land, and that they were those who lived in Alaman meaning Germany. So to Tserafat, he says, means France. So you too identify Tserafat with France. Maimonides, 1194, 1270, he says, the vision of Abijah, the house of Joseph, refers to the 10 tribes who were exiled and are still in their places of exile, the exile of Tserafat and Canaan, which are in the far north. So he says it's referring to the house of Joseph, the head of the lost 10 tribes, who were exiled, and they're still placed in their places of exile, and they're in the far north. And so that is his explanation. It also corresponds, it dovetails with the other explanations. Rabbi Isaac ben Yehuda Abarbanel, 1437-1508, he says that Tserafat is France. And do not be mistaken, because Tserafat is spoken and angled to, that is, England is not recalled. For there too did the exiles go. For lo and behold, that island, that is the island of Angle to the island of England, is considered a part of Tserafat. In the beginning belonged to it, and the ancient books they call it the Isle of Tserafat. Even though they separated itself from Tserafat, from France, and became a kingdom in its own right. So we see from these different sources and indications that the lost 10 tribes were in the area of Gaul and of England. And this also applies to the nations that grew out of them, that came out of them, and are still connected to them. such as the USA and Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and so on. They too are segments. They too are portions of the lost 10 tribes, especially the tribes of Joseph, who are in those areas. And in the end times, they will return and reunite with Judah. But for the time being, they have to do what they have to do as well as they can from where they are.